What if I told you that in just 12 weeks, you could completely burn the old version of yourself and emerge as someone new? Not the fake new you that those other transformation videos promise. You know, the kind of videos where you watch, feel inspired for 10 minutes and then nothing actually changes. They say like, just visualize your dream life or work on your discipline, limit your dopamine. Sure, like it does sound nice. But like, let's be honest. Has any of that actually worked for you? The truth is, you don't need another motivational speech, you know? You need a system to burn the old you and completely build someone new. And the reality is that most people actually never give you one. You know, I watched dozens of videos and then they tell you what to do, but not how to do it. Almost like they sell you the destination without giving you the map. But today, I'm going to give you exactly what you need right now, step by step. You might be thinking like, why should I listen to you? Why should I trust you? Which is completely valid. I understand it, okay? So I want to tell you a little bit about my story. So basically, a few years ago, my uncle scammed my dad. I know, a huge drama. My uncle basically scammed my dad a few years ago and my parents lost everything financially. You know, when I wanted to change the situation, I wanted to do something for my family. So I didn't have time for vision boards and stuff like that. I needed results. That's when I actually realized something had to change. And it did. Like using the system that I'm about to share with you, I actually grew my YouTube channel from 300K to 1.4 million subscribers, increased my monthly income from 7K to over 30K, and was able to retire my parents at the age of 21. And I also overcome my 7-year-long depression journey. And it's not really about motivation or generic advice. It's actually about building a system that works. Here's why most self-improvement content is just information masturbation, in my opinion. Because they tell you to work on your discipline, but then never show you how. Like how the hell am I supposed to do it? Or they say like make achievable goals, but don't tell you how to track progress. And what the hell is achievable goals anyway? And my favorite is just be consistent. Like, yeah, thanks for nothing. And you know, you watch these videos, feel good for about maybe 10 minutes, and then nothing changes. Why is that? Because feeling motivated and actually changing your life are two completely different things. Change doesn't start with motivation, it doesn't start with discipline. It starts with looking at your life exactly as it is and being brutally honest with yourself. Like when I finally faced my reality, everything actually changed. One of the examples could be like for 7 years, I actually struggled with major depression, but kept telling myself that it wasn't bad and I wasn't that like weak enough to need antidepressants or a psychiatrist, which is very toxic. But finally facing my reality meant to going to a psychiatrist and start to work out consistently and also get therapy, which dramatically improved my physical and mental health. I was also like lying to myself about, for example, reading books. I was telling myself that I was reading books and I was a regular reader, but the reality was that I was just scrolling on social media, like doom scrolling for hours and hours and hours. And when I faced the reality, I looked at my screen time and I downloaded an app and called Opal, I'm not sponsored, and I set like app block timings, which didn't allow me to use social media. And then I placed a book near to my bed because I didn't have anything to do at night. Instead of scrolling, I started to reading. That kind of like simple change actually led me to read more regularly, and now I'm able to read like 1 book per week. Maybe you can see actually my bookshelf, not sure whether you can see it. And also I started dedicating specific time for my family because I actually realized that I wasn't spending as much time as I wanted. So now I looked at my calendar, and so that it wasn't that frequent, now I take like 2 days per week to spend just time with my family, go out, communicate, and spend time for bonding. The moment you stop looking for motivation and start building systems is the moment your life actually starts to change. It wasn't that motivation or discipline that got me here because I had neither of them. It was my system, which I called the Kaizen system. Now let me show you the exact system I used. But before I break it down, let me tell you why it's different from everything else you tried. So, most transformation advice focuses on the end goal, you know, like your dream life, your ideal self, but my system does something different. Because I think about it, if you were using Google Maps, it wouldn't just show you the destination, right? First, it needs to know your current location, and that's exactly what my framework does. It starts with fully understanding where you are before mapping out where you're going, because everyone has a different starting point, therefore their journey will also look different. So our first step is facing your reality, not the version you show on social media, not the version you tell to your friends, but the raw, uncomfortable truth, the real you. One thing I actually learned after years is that you won't change until you have to. Until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing, you'll actually keep making excuses and will never change. You'll keep avoiding, you keep pretending everything's fine. But there's a tipping point, a moment when you can't stand your current reality anymore. That's when real change actually becomes possible. That's when the pain of facing reality becomes a productive pain, the kind of pain that leads to change. Most people jump straight to solutions without understanding their problems. They set goals without knowing their starting point. But you can't solve a problem you don't fully understand. Like when I finally started facing my reality, I had to write down my actual thoughts, not what I thought I should be thinking. And I had to track when I quit things, when I made excuses, why I was making them, and when I was letting myself down. And I know you might be thinking right now, like, okay, but how do I actually do this? How do I start? So for that, I actually created something that will help you face your reality and understand exactly where you are. I basically called it the Life Assessment Tool, and you can get it free using the link in the description below. The assessment will help you understand exactly what season of life you're in right now and identify the gaps between where you are and where you want to be. And also recognize the patterns that are keeping you stuck and figure out what you actually have control over. And after that, it allows you to understand which areas of your life need the most attention. Because the truth is that until you know where you are, all the motivation and discipline in the world won't help you get where you want to go. That's where transformation actually starts. Like with the courage to look at yourself and say, this is where I am right now, and this is where I want to go, and this is what I'm going to do about it. Now, once you have faced your reality, you need to understand where your time is actually going. Not where you think it's going, but where it's actually going. This is the step 2 of my Kaizen system, and it's probably going to hurt as much as the step 1, because we all lie to ourselves about time. We say things like, I don't have time, I'm too busy, or I'll do it tomorrow. Like, those are my favorites. But then I actually started to treat my time as if it's my lost $100 and I lost everything and I'm completely broke. Because think about it. If it's your last $100, you have to protect it fiercely, right? You would know exactly where your money goes because you have to, because you're trying to survive. But what if we treated our time the same way? What if every hour was as precious as your last $100? In my Kaizen system, I use something called Eisenhower matrix to categorize tasks based on their priority. So how important it is and whether it's getting you closer to your goals. This helps you to see exactly where your time is going and how much it matters for your life. Are you spending for time on things that actually is going to bring you closer to your goals, or are they just distractions and they're not going to be necessary for your new self? You have to see that visually. You have to be aware of them. And the system does more than just categorizing, actually. It gives you weekly feedback automatically based on your inputs, and it shows you patterns and trends. And most productivity systems tell you to reflect your week, but then they never explain how. But my system actually handles it for you, and it does it automatically, analyzing your task distribution and giving you the specific actions to take, like how you did it last week, what were you spending time on, and what to do for next week. And when I actually started doing this, I actually discovered something interesting, because I was thinking that I was hitting gym 4 to 5 times a week, but it turns out I was maybe hitting it 1 or twice per week. And my Kaizen system shows to you visually, so you can't escape it. Because once you see where your time is actually going, and it gives you feedback on whether you've been doing good or bad, you can't ignore it anymore. You have to face the reality and change it. And my system also uses something called micro commitments, which is tiny actions that takes less than 2 minutes to start. For example, when I was struggling with depression, one thing that really helped me drastically was starting working out consistently. But because I was struggling to get out of home, setting a goal of hitting the gym 4 times, 5 times was not attainable for me. So then I learned this technique called micro commitment, which is basically breaking down the task into such a small level that it basically overcomes the resistance. So what I did was, instead of saying to myself, I'm going to hit the gym 4 to 5 times a week, I said, okay, my micro commitment is going to be every single day I'm going to wear my workout clothes, and then I'm going to step outside. And then I don't know whether I will go to the gym or I will go back to my room. That's fine. My micro commitment is just going to be wearing that clothes. And that's it. And that's how actually I built the habit of hitting the gym regularly. And I'm quite jacked, actually. Don't know whether you can notice it, but that small action helped me to build a habit that I've been struggling for years. Actually, these kind of small changes start to build momentum and allows you to change yourself and build your new version. So Step 3 is where most people really get it wrong, in my opinion, because they try to like think positive or believe in themselves without changing their environment. Because like your belief system, your beliefs are shaped by your environment. That's why like motivational videos only work for about 10 minutes, because they don't change your environment, you know? One thing is that like everyone says, surround yourself with people who you want to be like, but like, let's be realistic. Would your ideal version of self even want to be friends with the current version of you? Like when I think about it right now, I wouldn't want to be friends with like Rudy 4 years ago, because Rudy 4 years ago is not on my level. There's nothing she can bring value onto the table. And most people blame their friends, their environment, you know, I used to do also that. But first, you need to become the person who deserves to be in those rooms. So we have to ask ourselves, like, am I a good friend? What value do I bring to the table? What kind of people do I actually want to surround myself with? Like, we have to be realistic. And here's actually what worked for me. So obviously, if you can, get into the room with people who you want to be like. But if you can't do that physically, get as close as you can through books, content, and online communities to reshape what feels normal to you. And then communicate with people you admire through maybe comments, maybe reach outs and emails, etc., etc. People are actually more accessible than you think if you're not just like wanting something in return and just simply simping. And the third one is that rebrand yourself publicly. Act like your new version. You can even create a new account if you don't want your current friends to see the transition. You know, I deleted my old Instagram account because it was so cringy and it was not representing who I wanted to be. So you have to change your exposure to change your beliefs. And when you change your beliefs, you change your actions. So this framework works because it addresses the 3 biggest reasons people fail to change. First, lack of reality. Okay, we are so delusional in my opinion. And most people are that way, okay? You know, we try to skip the painful truth. We try to copy solutions without understanding our problems because it's easier to run away from our problems and facing reality than just like act busy. And the second one is lack of awareness. We have no idea where our time is going. We overestimate our efforts and we underestimate our distractions. And the third one is that lack of environmental change. Like we try to think differently without changing our inputs. We stay in environments that reinforce old beliefs and we expect new results from old surroundings, but that will never happen. So I believe that my system fixes all the 3 issues systematically, and it's not reliant on motivation or on discipline. Maybe like at the beginning to get used to the system, maybe you will need it a little bit, but I hope this video gives you that burst of motivation. And the reason why it works is actually quite simple, because it's based on reality, okay? It's not based on wishful thinking, because I can be very delusional sometimes. So I just wanted to create a system that is like real. Now you might be thinking, okay, how the heck am I going to apply all of this? So I basically created 2 resources to help you. First one is the one that I mentioned, the life assessment quiz, which is completely free. So if you do the assessment, it will help you understand exactly where you are right now, the crucial first steps in your transformation. And it's perfect if you're getting just like started with this approach. The second, for those who want the complete system that helped me turn my life around, I basically created the Kaizen system template. And this is the exact system that I used to grow from 300K to 1.4 million subscribers, overcome my depression, work out regularly, increase my income, retire my parents, etc., etc., etc. That's like my whole life motto. My life runs on that system. To make this more accessible to people, I'm actually offering a 50% discount for a limited time with the Kaizen 50. Plus, you'll get free access to all future updates, including the Kaizen 2.0 that I'm currently developing based on user feedback. The reason why I'm doing this is that so that more people will purchase it and I'll get more feedback and I can improve the second version more, you know? So does this mean like you have to purchase my template to change your life? No, definitely no. First of all, if your change is reliant on someone else, you're in the wrong place. You have the wrong mindset anyway. It's sad that. It's just that it helped me a lot. I believe in my system. I love it. And I just want to make things easier for you. If you don't have money right now, if you're struggling financially, don't buy it. Create your own version. You can do it. That's fine. And for those who want more information or who want more help, I'm actually starting a new series called Kaizen Series. And every Friday or Sunday, I'm trying to decide, I'm going to release a new video in the series. And I'm going to cover things like how to track progress when you can't see results yet, what to do when you're about to quit, or how to deal with procrastination and lack of focus, and how to change your environment, and a lot of stuff basically. So I'm gonna try to give you all the information you need for your new self and all the stuff that I learned along my journey. So I don't want you to feel obligated to buy anything from me to change, and that's the only way you can change your problem. That's bullshit. It's just there. If you would find it valuable, check it out. If not, forget about it. And I know this video is not really like woo-woo, manifestation, believe in yourself, kind of a transformation advice maybe you might want to hear, and I might have offended some people actually. But it worked for me and it works for others. So the choice is yours. Like, you can keep watching these generic advice videos that make you feel good, or you can start doing the real work and take action. Face your reality. Burning your old self and actually changing isn't about motivation or discipline. It's about building systems that make it impossible to stay the same. So see you next week. Maybe on Friday, maybe on Sunday. I don't know. We'll see each other.